Okay, should recruiters then send these hiring managers a list of five, just so it's manageable? Here's five questions I don't think you should use. Okay,
That would go over
and
well.
one of them is, "Oh, what's your greatest weakness?" And the other is,
They'll ask it
"What
just
does your
to
mother
spite you.
think of you?" Something.
Yeah.
Should
You
we?
don't understand. We're dumb recruiters. We don't know anything.
No, should
They're
we
smart
send out these
executives.
guys? Obviously, no. You guys have been saying, well, Michael G. Cox just said, the therapist here said, he said, well, these guys don't know what they're doing.
Questions we can't.
We don't know. We don't know what they don't know what they're doing, so they fall back on these things they've heard are standard questions, which are useless. Should we? I've never done it. I've never sat in on an interview myself. Should we make sure at least stay away from this, these stupid things? Jim's nodding, shaking his head.
The problem here, it gets worse. So you know what happens when they stop asking those questions? They start asking worse ones like, okay, Rich, we have 2 minutes left in the interview. Why don't you give me something to remember you by?
Oh, God.
Sing me a song.
The goal is to remember me. Okay, well, your mother gives terrible. You want to make sure you remember me. That's the name of the game, right? Yeah. It gets worse if you don't.
Yeah, and you don't want to get them off script. You're right. I agree. If they go off their planned questions, forget it.
I think there are too many. I think there are too many questions to avoid. Like whose attention are you going to hold long enough to walk them through each question that they should not be asking? Because
I just said a list of five. A list of five. That's what I said. Make it three if you want.
There's a list of 50 that you could easily tell them stop. But then you also have to explain for each one why not ask that one. Nobody's going to give you enough time to walk.
Okay,
and we don't know the answer.
Animal, hold on.
Where are you?
Mario here. I'm from a gaming rig. I'm calling from a gaming rig.
Mario?
Animal, I always love every week. If someone's not on video, they're just in the ethosphere.
He's a regular. I featured him on LinkedIn today. Okay, from heaven. It's Mario. He's up in heaven today. Go ahead, tell us.
I'm in front of my gaming rig. Obviously, I'm in heaven. Okay. So I have a question. Why won't recruiters, the main recruiters, sit in on the hiring managers when they're interviewing people?
They get
Would
mad
that be a
when
bad
the
idea?
candidate feels weird.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. I mean, on Zoom you can do it's easier now. I mean, I did it a long time ago on I just called in on it was just an old conference call. And you just sat and listened. It was actually super interesting. It was a very good hiring manager. It'd be great to do it today. It's and just see how these people are doing. And we have them, like I told this one company, I'm like, you guys are doing this role play, knocking people out for like the silliest things. I'm like, do you even record them? They're all on Zoom. They're like, that's a great idea. I'm like, wow.
What is that red button?
Yeah, what's that big record button do?
Careful when you record.
There's a privacy issue there. It's
not a privacy issue. You're recording this.
Yeah,
but you're volunteers. You're not coming for
he's
a
going to
job.
volunteer too. He wants to do a job.
Animal, you're off the privacy chart here. No, you're allowed.
It's an easy out for the candidate if he doesn't want to record it. All right.
Okay, but hold on. Rich Rosen told us a few weeks ago, look, you're the expert. The recruiter's the expert. You have to consult with these people. And that means advising them about interviews, how to do a good interview. Now everybody here is saying, no, don't even send them 3 or 5 questions that they should never ask. Okay,
you have to know. You got to know your client. You can't. Again, you make everything black or white, like all or nothing. There's certain clients that are actually coachable. Not many, but there's certain clients who actually want advice. They want to help. They want to improve how they're doing things. But if you did that for every client,
those are not the guys you have to worry about. It's the ones who don't ask. Look, anybody else? I'm interested.
Rich, I think the animal will go and poke the bear for no reason, just to tick him off.
I mean, are you going to just once you know that they're bad interviewers?
You don't know.
Well, so then why are you going to piss them off in the beginning? You're in a business. You're in a service business. You're going to say, listen, I'm assuming you're going to suck at your interviews. So let me send you the questions you shouldn't ask. And then I'm going to send you the ones I want you to ask so I can prep my candidate.
So there's let me put it this way. There's no prophylactic processes.
No, here's the thing.
Dr. Cox is here again. There you go.
At least in sales recruiting, there are just too many variables that you cannot control for.
Exactly.
And it's just impossible.
confused.
It would be
Here's a
nice.
bigger question. What if there is no point to the interview except to make the hiring manager feel like they're invested in the candidate, and thus they continue to work with them for 6 months to a year because they made the choice?
Mm-hmm.
That could be the point of interviews, is to force the company to feel like they made a decision and don't want to be wrong. And all the rest of it is nonsense.
Yeah, it's a good view. I like it.
Except for then there's no point in interviews.
There's no point of interviews anyway.
Well, dude, even with great interviews,
how many people hire their friends? Like, I mean, how many times do you work in a search like, oh, you know what, I brought my buddy in. You know, I mean,
It's
they
dangerous.
don't work out, but it happens all the time.
Gavin,
Well,
you want to say
I think
something?
your
Go
original
ahead.
question of should we send five questions not to ask him is actually the wrong question. The question for recruiters should be, do you actually go and try and find out about hiring managers' supposed or non-existing interviewing experience? And that's something that I regularly do. Is I go in and I get a new relationship with a hiring manager, and I will go and ask, how do you actually do typically your interviews? I try and find out if they've got experience or not, what kind of questions they ask. That I will definitely do. And if I feel that it will not have a very serious negative impact on my commercial relationship with them, then I might steer them in the right direction. But the first thing is, you've got a commercial relationship. You've got to be careful of the ego of that person, and then you move on.
Okay.
And I think that's all part of your discovery process. It's just not every company is going to give you. A lot of companies don't want to give you any information on other than the interview steps. They purposely, obviously, don't want to tell you what questions they're going to ask because then they think you're going to prep them for that.
Great secret.
Like that's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible. Making you look good and them. You know, I mean, don't when you're reaching out to these clients though. I mean, because part of the way I frame it is how we're going to make you as a hiring manager look good, and you know that's one of the ways to actually do it. Is we can prep these guys not so they, con the interview, but so we actually know what they want to see instead of having to guess. I mean, it's amazing how well you could do in life when people actually want to help you, and that's what salespeople do, quite frankly. So, but that's a good part of it.